Welcome to the Leadership Spill Sessions, where we tackle real workplace questions with expert insights, practical strategies, and honest conversations. I'm Desiree Musselman, a certified leadership coach and trainer, and together we'll learn how to respond, not just react, to workplace stress, inspiring others, and lead with strategy and purpose. Let's check out our topic for today. Today, we're talking about this topic, is leadership not for me? And this was a question that was posed on Reddit from a newly promoted manager who's wondering if they're leadership material or not. And it's due to their social skills that they're affected by anxiety, and they find it challenging to have difficult conversations or really powerful, inspirational conversations. So this is kind of the gist of what they're asking, and I'll give you a little background. So their first point that they're making is that they've put a ton of work in to overcome social awkwardness, and they've had some success with it, which is amazing. Second point is that for them, conversations require a lot of preparation to feel more natural, to feel confident in what they're doing. And the third point that they made to ask this question is that the day-to-day is just super exhausting and is making it harder to prepare because they're new to the leadership role. And as we all know, especially in the first couple of years, it gets really hard to manage all the day-to-day and figure out everything that you need to be doing and be effective and efficient in it. And their question really truly is that if they lack executive presence due to their social skills and they're lacking the ability to influence, are they cut out for leadership? That's what we're going to answer today. So, going back to their first bullet, they've put a ton of work in to overcome social awkwardness with some success. Now, I'm going to answer this with a question. We know we all love that. But in coaching and developing somebody, it's really about finding those answers within yourself. It's not just what other people would do. So I would ask this person, how do you support yourself in overcoming your social anxiety? What are those things that you put in place? And this is really important because if there isn't a strategic way that they're doing this, that isn't exhausting, right? That's the key. Then they're going to keep putting themselves in this situation over and over again. Social awkwardness is one of those things that isn't natural. We are social creatures, and it doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, good or bad, but we do have ways to overcome it that will feel more authentic and less draining. And if we can figure those pieces out, it's going to make it so much easier to lead and interact with people, even outside of work, in those social situations. When you can find those things that truly support you in the moment and outside of the moment, it's going to make it easier to not feel that pressure of the social anxiety. So really, what does that ton of work look like? Is it working with a coach? Is it working with a therapist? Is it doing it on your own? Is it reading books? Is it finding time to just be with yourself? And how are you building your confidence? Because there's a lot of ways to do it. One of those is to really look at, in those moments, what am I doing well, instead of looking at what did I do wrong? Because that is our internal brain trying to double down on protecting us. And social awkwardness is all about internal protection. I don't fit in. I don't feel comfortable in this. This is super draining for me. There's a lot of things that we say to ourselves in social awkwardness that if we can cut out that inner dialogue, then it makes it easier for us to build our confidence. And one of the big ways to do that is by shutting down that portion of your brain that is going, you're doing this wrong. Am I landing? Like questioning everything, and really focus on what is the 10% of what I did that I really like, that I feel was really powerful. Now, the second point that they made was conversations require a lot of preparation to feel more natural. And as a coach, the question I would kick off the conversation with would be, What would be the worst case scenario if you didn't prep? Oftentimes we feel like we have to be super prepared, and sometimes we over prepare. We actually get in our own way. So when our brain tells us that we have to prepare to be able to do this properly, oftentimes it doesn't tell you, it won't go to that place of, if you don't prep, what actually happens. So I would invite, if this is something that's coming up for you, to sit down and go, all right, worst case scenario, let's jump down that well. If I didn't prep for this conversation, what's the worst thing that could happen? And you may say, well, I won't get my point across, or they won't understand me, or I won't have it at all. And from there, you've got to keep going, because your brain won't tell you what the disaster actually is. It won't let you play that out because it's still trying to protect you. So I would suggest jumping down that rabbit hole and keep going, right? Kind of like the idea of the 5 whys, except for we're doing the 5 whats. What would happen? And by the time you get to the end of that, you're probably going to realize that whatever it is not disastrous. You're going to be able to overcome whatever is thrown at you from not preparing. And the more that you can do that, the more confident you're going to be in having these conversations without a lot of preparation, because you're really understanding what it takes to overcome those situations in the moment, not afterwards, but actually in the moment. The third piece I talked about is the day-to-day is exhausting and making it harder to prepare. And again, this goes back to really taking time to figure out, what are you focusing on during the day? And this is a question I ask every level of leaders that is feeling overwhelmed, because oftentimes what I will find and what they usually find is that they can't really give me an answer on what they're focusing on during the day. The answers usually are something like, I'm putting out fires, or I just get a ton of emails, or what my employees are constantly coming up and asking me questions, or there's always a customer issue, or there's something going on. And they get caught up in what I like to call is the shiny little object syndrome. And they're looking at, what is that one thing that I can get instant gratification on by solving? And oftentimes, a lot of the things that you are focusing on during the day, especially as a new manager, are things that you don't have to do anymore, but it's your comfort zone. It's the things that you know how to do already that got you into the position, but it's not necessarily something that you need to be doing anymore. And you may actually be taking it away from somebody who should be doing it or learning how to do it, because it's the safe thing that you feel comfortable with. And now you're trying to stack other things on top of the things that you were doing before. And of course, it's exhausting and overwhelming because there's more than one person can do. We don't have to do everything as a leader, although our brain will tell us that we do. It's not even a I don't trust my team thing. Usually it's not a conscious choice. And that is one thing that I would encourage anybody listening to this and as a leader to know, when you make a conscious choice on taking care of something. And I mean conscious as in, like, I'm going to do this, and here's why I'm going to do this. And this is how it moves everyone and myself forward. This is how it best supports me in this moment to do this thing myself. When you make that conscious choice, you start realizing that it's not as exhausting. When you cannot describe or explain why you were doing something, and you're just doing it because you feel you have to do it, those are the things that are probably exhausting. So take a really good look at, what are you focusing on during the day? And then to answer the actual question, that if you lack executive presence and the ability to influence, are you cut out for leadership? The question I would ask is how true is it that you are unable to influence others and that you don't have executive presence? Executive presence has a lot of things that it does. One, It can be used as a weapon against people and saying that you don't have executive leadership or executive presence. You can use it as something to help bolster somebody's confidence. It's a term that I share a love-hate relationship with because executive presence is a perception-based reality. And what that means is that it is up to the perception of the person perceiving you is whether they think you have it or not. There is no set thing. And there are lots of people out there that talk about, here's what makes up executive presence. No one subscribes to the same description of it. So when someone comes to me and says, I need to improve my executive presence, I don't have a cookie cutter mold of that because there is no such thing as a cookie cutter mold of executive presence. It is up to the culture of the company that you're in, your own belief system and values, your team's idea of what leadership presence is. Those things really need to be fleshed out before you can really say whether you lack executive presence or not. You may be in one situation where everyone feels you have it, and you can go into another situation and no one feels you have it. It is really up to the eye of the beholder. So this is where the question of how true is it that you're unable to influence others? How do you know that? What is the factual, not the emotional, but the factual material or experiences that tell you that it's true that you are unable to influence others? And I ask this question, especially of leaders, because you probably are influencing people and you're not understanding how you're doing it. And we influence people by osmosis. It's whether we're choosing to do it on purpose or not. That's when we start questioning our ability to influence others. When we start looking at how am I influencing others, because everyone influences each other, then you start realizing I'm influencing them in ways that I may not want to, or it's not supporting our goal, or I am influencing them, but I'm ignoring how I am influencing them. And I'm not doubling down on this strength I have over here in the way that I need to. Those pieces come into play when we talk about lack of executive presence and the ability to influence. It really is finding what are my strengths? What do I care about? Because you're going to be more passionate, more influential on those things. And what do my people care about? What do the people above me care about? When you can mesh those together, you can truly understand whether or not you really are cut out for leadership or not. The thing is that it doesn't matter whether you have a title, and it doesn't matter whether you have someone telling you or calling you a leader. Everybody leads in different ways. We all affect each other. We all influence each other. And that is really what leadership is. The question is, I would say, not are you cut out for leadership? What does leadership look like for me? And does that fit into what I'm trying to achieve? But at the end of the day, you may not be in a leadership position, or you could be in a leadership position. You're going to be leading no matter what you're doing, whether it's in your family or in your community or with your friends, in different aspects that you're passionate about, you care about, you will lead. That is what humans do. Thanks for exploring this topic with us today. If you like the discussion, tap the like and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more discussions and questions to help you find your unique leadership style and voice.